It's August Bank Holiday Monday. It's Bennetts British Superbikes and we can only be in one place. It's Cadwell Park, deep in the Lincolnshire Wolds, the tortuous woodland section, which packed a dozen or so corners before we get out into the parkland section, where we see speeds of incredibly up to 170 miles an hour reached on the park straight, which is nothing but a straight as they go into the park corner. We think back to some of the incredible moments of Bennett's BSB history. There's Leon Haslam taking out Gregorio Lavia, and then Tommy Hill coming home to take the first ever win on a Pirelli shod bike in the championship. But no mention of Cadwell Park can be complete without mentioning the mountain. So sit back and just watch Cadwell Park, and as they once said about this place, it's naturally challenging. One thing's for sure, Tilke, the famous circuit designer that builds all these brand new F1 circuits, never went anywhere near this circuit. It was created by God. It just uses the natural contours of the Lincolnshire countryside and delivers 18 corners in 2.17 miles of, frankly, a little bit of everything. There's the famous bends like the Gooseneck, Paul Bends, Mansfield, and it first started life in 1934. But no mention of Cadwell Park can be complete without mentioning the mountain. Quite simply, awe-inspiring ribbon of tarmac that takes you through a left and a right and a jump that you take off to see the moon. Critically this year, the circuit's been resurfaced in certain places, and right there, and we've seen some incidents which have taken out a couple of the leading contenders. In the case of Danny Bucket, he's out for the weekend. For Charlie Nesbitt, coming off the back of an awesome Thruxton performance, it's certainly given him a little bit of a knock, but he bravely competed in the bike social sprint race yesterday, but again fell at the hairpin during the race, but he'll be back for more today for sure. Pirelli tyres are now the staple diet of the championship. Everybody uses them, and they were the big talking point at Thruxton, with specially mandated material, making sure people had to use one type of constructed material for the specialist nature of Thruxton. That doesn't apply here, so freedom of tyre choice will be back being the normal situation for this race. And we saw a little brief glimpse yesterday of what can happen. In a 12-lap sprint race, we saw Glenn Irwin and then the two Lamio MG bikes of Ryan Vickers and Carl Ride being a breakaway three. And then they were joined at the end by Jason O'Halloran.
We've had a good weekend so far at Cadwell Park. Started the evening test quite good. First time I've ridden here for a year, so it always takes a little bit of time to get into the circuit. I love riding at Cadwell, but you still got to take your time with it. It's quite different to other places that we ride at. So a lot of people go fast here, so it's always difficult. You know, it's difficult to find your position on the track, and you know, in the races, it's a little bit more tricky than other places to make passes, and it's just a more technical weekend than some of the others we have.
At the 12-lap mark, there was something like 6 riders in contention of victory. Now, that manifests itself in today's 18-lap races. We could be in for a 6-way dice for the lead, which around Cadwell Park is a thing of absolute spectacle. To overtake here is incredibly difficult. You've got to pick your moment. Watch out on the early laps of the race for some incredibly aggressive moves. All deemed legal yesterday, but we can certainly see some needle between Christian Hidden and Tommy Bridewell.
The feeling for riding at Cadwell is so unique. The circuit layout, the nature of the track and the environment it brings, the atmosphere it brings is unreal. It's a little bit like, feels like riding in a megaphone almost, where you're almost down in this bowl and everyone's just making this noise. So yeah, it's definitely electric is probably the best way of describing it.
Round 8 of the Bennetts British Superbike Championship for 2023, and we return to the mountain. It's Superbike Sunday at Cadwell Park, and it has got to the business end of the championship, and this is how they shape up on the bike social sprint race grid. Vickers is on pole from Leon Haslam, with Glenn Irwin in third. His 200th race, will he be on the podium? And Ryan Vickers is hungry. It's eyes on the lights. And we are racing. A good start from Vickers on pole, likewise from Kyle Wright. Jason O'Halloran also got away well. Glenn Irwin has got that inside line. It will be Vickers with the whole shot from Glenn Irwin. Leon Haslam is third. Bridewell looked for an inside line there. He squeezed his way through, Jay.
That was a cracking start from Tommy, that, you know.
Yeah, really good. He's picked off a couple already. It's exactly what he needs to do. He's got Eden just behind him as well. Up towards Park Corner, and already Glenn Irwin is making his move. He's attacked and he's through into the lead at Park Corner. Kyle Wright, you can often tell from his body language, can't you? Oh, that was close. Christian Eden there, a lunge down at the hairpin. Tommy Bridewell was involved in that as well. And up the inside here, squeezing through, is Storm Stacey. That did not pan out well at all for the championship leader.
For me, the weekend's been tough, really tough. We've gone the wrong way with the bike, and it's not been ideal. But in the same aspects, the team's worked hard to rectify it. We made improvement yesterday for the race, so we finished 5th, which was okay. And then for morning warm-up today, we've made another big step, which is just making the bike a bit easier to ride. So hopefully we can, make some good races today and see how we fare up.
Haslam will dig in, whatever's going on with the bike, whatever setup he's got, he'll have a go.
These are absolute weapons there around Cadwell Park, James. It's so difficult to overtake. Dropping down now into Barn Corner there, Kyle Wright just getting some good drive. Can he now get into the slipstream of Leon Haslam as we start lap 3 of 12? It's Irwin that still leads. Haslam with the fastest lap of the race. We've got some spots of rain coming through at Barn Corner.
I thought that might be the case. As I walked off the grid, it just felt cold and damp.
Problem there, yeah. On the exit there at Park Corner, just lost all momentum. Did Haslam, and Kyle Wright has bombed through.
Wrong gear maybe?
Yeah, quite possibly down at Park Corner. That could have been the case, couldn't it?
Oh no, yeah, it looks like.
Oh, has he got some trouble?
I think he's got problems.
Oh, Leon.
Yeah, there's your sprinkling of
It's not a flag you want to see through all bends.
No, and not when you're at all bends, you've got to keep going.
So Irwin leads from the 2 Lamy OMG Racing Yamahas. There you can see visibly the rain spots dropping through Barn Corner, and a twitch on the rear from Irwin.
This sliding, this is a difficult position to be in for a racer. You want to keep going, you don't want to throw it down the road. Difficult.
Around Charlie's come the leaders. It's the beer monster Ducati of Glenn Irwin, desperate for victory. Ryan Vickers has been so good of late with Kyle Wright third. Then a big gap now back to Jason O'Halloran in 4th place. Glenn Irwin here is facing a tricky scenario, James. He wants to win, but he doesn't really want to lead at this point.
Exactly, just exactly what it is. You're in the lead. What you don't want to do is get to a little bit of the track that's damper than it was last time. You've got, 1.5 minutes between each lap, and you get there, it's rained a bit more and it's a bit wet. So, you don't want to be leading at this point, and much easier to sit behind and see what's happening to somebody up front. Kyle Wright's having a little bit of a look as well. Yeah,
they're all bunching up, and O'Halloran might just be bringing this pack along with him as well. That's including Iden and Storm Stacey. Out of the final corner then we begin lap 7 of 12. So far, the resistance from Glenn Irwin has been strong, right, because closing all the time. Second part of the circuit here, certainly the final sector, is where Ryan Vickers is his strongest. He's got really good speed through the bottom of the mountain as well.
This is the problem for Vickers, because while he's setting Glenn up, certainly his teammate Kyle is setting him up.
Yeah, and we're about to start the penultimate lap of the race. Is Vickers now going to have a look into the hairpin? I thought he was then, but as we start the penultimate lap of the race, Glenn Irwin at the moment it is. That leads still from Ryan Vickers and Kyle Wright. Here comes Vickers again. Now he's got some good speed. That's a lovely move up the inside into Charlie's 2.
Yeah.
What a move from Vickers.
A little bit wide from Glenn, but watch this. Just watch what happens here.
Powering back through on the Ducati then. The beer monster is a monster. It flies back through on Ryan Vickers. Kyle Wright doesn't want to settle for 3rd place. Storm Stacey's crashed out of a top 10 place. Unfortunately, he's out of this one. But this is what we got to keep our eyes on now. Vickers, can he get close enough to have a bite down into the hairpin? No, he's going to stay there for now. It's time to find out. We start the final lap of the race here in this PSB sprint race. It's Glenn Irwin who has led from the start, defending the 2 Yamahas. Jason O'Halloran is coming into the frame really late on here. I just think he might have run out of time slightly. Kyle Wright now tried to get into position as well to get on terms with his teammate. He won't settle for 3rd. He wants 2nd. He wants a stab at 1st. Here's O'Halloran coming in with a late show. Here comes Kyle Wright now. He goes through into 2nd place, and that may well just help out Glenn Irwin.
That was perfect from Kyle, set up, and I thought he was going to have a go.
Well, he's been sitting there quietly, hasn't he?
He might just have one chance, maybe 2, at Glenn.
The best he could hope for perhaps here is third place, but Kyle Ryde is lining something up here on Glen Irwin.
It's got to be the hairpin, and I just wonder what Ryan Vickers is going to do with his teammate. That could be a hairpin job as well.
Here comes Kyle Ryde. He's definitely lining something up, but he's not close enough. Ryan Vickers thinks about it as well. Surely here, if Irwin keeps it clean, everything's done and dusted. That was a bit tricky. Through the last corner, the checkered flag is out, and no one will be able to get on terms here with Glen Irwin and his Beer Monster Ducati. He's back to winning ways. 200 up, and he's a winner again.
What a good race that was. That wild and lovely.
Fantastic stuff from Glen Irwin, and he is back in business in Bennetts British Superbike.
Yeah, after yesterday's much needed win, we had a bit of a bump in the road at Thruxton, as everyone knows, but yesterday was the perfect way to bounce back, getting a race win. Glenn's not had one since Knockhill, so yeah, it was good for him. Tommy showed a bit of pace yesterday, obviously climbing back up to 5th, just behind Jason. So yeah, I know hopefully there's more to come today.
Really good job from the two OMG Yamahas as well. Jason O'Halloran just left it too late to have a say in that one, and Tommy Bridewell, the championship leader, loses ground again. He's 5th over the line.
Tommy knows he's got some big races coming up. Donington and in particular AULTON Park, where he's excelled at early this year. Glen Irwin, fantastic result yesterday. He marked his first ever win at Cadwell Park on a BSB bike in his 200th BSB race start.
Yeah, yesterday was great. I had a good feeling from the beginning of the test on the Friday evening. I knew it would be not easy. The bike works very well here in areas. It's probably a little bit more physical of a circuit and a package compared to some of our rivals. So yesterday we had a little bit of a limitation in the race, a little bit of chatter with the change we'd made, and I had to ride around that. So the plan, well, I didn't have an exact plan for the race other than to win, but I realised that I wasn't going to try and ride off because the chatter can catch you out like that and you can lose the front. So I thought be good where I need to be good, and as mad as it sounds, take a breather in other sectors. So maybe it doesn't look like I was so good in other sectors, but I was also, it's like a one lane in them areas, so you could do the speed of a Super Stock 600 if you want. It's impossible to pass. Save some energy and just control it. It's so nice to be able to be where I am right now. It's took a lot of hard work, but a lot of doable work as such that anyone could do. So anyone listening to it, just keep at it.
And that's a milestone that I'm sure he'll remember forevermore. Josh Brooks, we're going to talk about him. Last seen challenging for victories at Snellerton. That was back in July. It's now the end of August. Brooks has been the fabled king of the mountain for some of his jumps, but you know, there's a bit missing in his jump this weekend, and he and his teammate have got to come back and really get their championship charge back on track. This round is significant for another reason. It's the end of the regular point scoring system. In the new for 2023 different type of showdown, we just moved the points from the next round at AULTON and then to Donington and then to Brands. The points start going up.
And they go from 18, 16, 14 for the top three to 25, 22, 20. So, you know, big change there, and that goes all the way through the, all the way through the field. But then the biggest change, obviously, coming to Brands Hatch, where it'll suddenly jump to 35 points for a win, which is going to make a huge difference compared to the 18 you've got now.
So all the people are now going to start playing the game of maths. It's all going to come down to the final weekend at Brands Hatch when there's 105 points on the table.
If you're within 105 points of the championship leader at the final round of Brands and he has a nightmare, in theory, you could still take that championship. So it really, the old showdown seemed to be a little bit unfair on some people, certainly like Jason O'Halloran. He would have won it the last few years had it been this format. There's a certain irony that the 1 year they've changed it and it's really sort of worked against him.
To be honest, at the minute I don't really feel any pressure at all because, you know, like before Thruxton, it was so far away from thinking about a championship that I've just kept that mindset. You know, it's Thruxton was an amazing weekend for us to have 3 victories and for the others to not score many points, but it was a very unique weekend to do that.
Everyone has pressure. There's a number of elements of why, but for me, leading the championship, we've had a really tough Thruxton. Yesterday could have been worse for definite. Obviously, Glenn got the win, so he pulled some more points back on us.
If I sit and go, there's no pressure, like that's I'd be lying to you, because I had pressure on myself. The team come racing to win races, as does most of the teams on the grid. So it's about how you handle that and control that. And I work very, very, very hard behind the scenes, like as much as this morning, last night, between the races today. You know, I have my methods, and I believe it's something I can handle quite well. So the points changing is can be good, can be bad. You never know what can happen in racing. If you have a DNF when the points are bigger, it's can be very detrimental. I've got one more DNF than Tommy at the minute. If I didn't have it, we'd be half a point ahead, not 19.5 behind.
But honestly, it's worked in our favour, because the way the championship is at the minute, I'm not losing really many points at all. And in truth, the way the points obviously work, for the next round we go back to the conventional point system, but we're also going back to circuits that I've won at. This year I've won at previously, and I know we've got a really good base setting, a good setting for the bike that we can roll out in straight away, expect to fight for the wins, and almost build the points lead back up again.
At the moment, we've got a big clump of riders that have a cluster that takes them from first place of Tommy Bridewell through to Josh Brooks, down on 88 points. Then there's a jump to Christian Hidden, who's just outside that 105 margin. So now we're going to start seeing everybody may have a bit of a scramble to get in that mythical 105 points barrier, because that will be the story for the rest of the year.
But I think it's a much fairer format, and I think also it kind of ramps up in a really nice way to kind of add the pressure, add the points, make the wins more valuable, make the podiums more valuable, just at the right time, but not so much that it should sort of skew the championship. So for me, I think, you know, we're now coming to this really exciting part of the season, and I hope it's going to be a great end to what's already been a really good season.
So sit back and just watch Cadwell Park, and as they once said about this place, it's naturally challenging.
Bank holiday Monday at Cadwell Park. Cannot wait for racing action. An electric atmosphere here. Race 2 of the weekend is 18 laps, and the gap at the top has been tumbling of late. Tommy Bridewell, of course, still the championship leader, but it is now down to 19.5. Will that change here this weekend? Leon Haslam takes to pole position. No rider has won more races here in PSP at Cadwell. Will he be adding to that tally? He's not won since 2018.
So far this weekend it's been a little bit tough. The test and the first day we had a fuel pump issue. We managed to rectify that for Sunday. And we was P2 in FP3 and qualified second, running a comfortable third, set the fastest lap of the race, and we had another mechanical. So honestly, it's frustrating. The boys have been working really good, you know, big credit to them, but you know, that's our 4th technical this year, and it's kind of put us on the back foot for the championship. But pace-wise has been strong, starting from pole position today, so hopefully we can go out there and get my first win.
18 laps coming up, and we are underway. Good start from the second row there from Ryan Vickers on the Lamy OMG Racing Yamaha. He's immediately trying to challenge, and he goes through from the second row into turn 1 in P1. On the approach now to Park Corner, Leon Haslam attacks back at Ryan Vickers, who doesn't really want to give it up, but it's so tight through there, he has to let him through. Down into Mansfield Corner, the 2 Beer Monster Ducati to IRWIN and Bridewell. No progress made from them so far. They're in 8th and 9th. Through the mountain we go.
Yep. Leonard, big jump from Ryan Vickers. Will that put him in a position? No, it won't. You see, it's almost like a jump to nowhere, is that?
And Ryan Vickers immediately, look at that, straight through. The door was open at the hairpin and he goes through.
Yeah, I mean, he'd looked to do that yesterday every single lap.
Kind of got the feeling that if Vickers could get out front and get into his rhythm, he has excellent pace. Kyle Wright desperate to find a way through there on Jackson. Irwin and Bridewell still not made any progress, although in the background there, Glenn Irwin is trying to push his way through on Hidden. Hidden's having none of it. O'Halloran's got a really tight entry into Park Corner as well.
Yeah, and this is what Ryan Vickers needs. He felt sure that if he could get away at the front and have a couple of laps on his own, he had the pace to actually pull away.
Down into Barn Corner. There's O'Halloran. He's in 6th place. Took a while to get going yesterday. Kyle Wright now trying to shape up for a move on Storm Stacey. He pulls for the inside line, and surely he'll make this one stick. He outbreaks Storm Stacey. Nice move that from Wright. He's up to 3rd. Kyle Wright now will look to try and bridge that gap up to Leon Haslam. Tommy Bridewell, the championship leader, has gone straight on at the chicane.
Got to go forward, and that mistakes are so easy to make round here.
Fastest lap of the race again to Ryan Vickers on the Lamy OMG Yamaha.
Vickers.
It's Vickers.
It's Vickers.
Vickers has gone down whilst leading, but Kyle Ryder's now got straight on terms with Leon Haslam out front, and this changes the complexion of the race.
What's happening here? Kyle Ryder knows that he could go quicker on his own.
Oh, Jackson, he's done that again. That's beautiful, but he's now just run slightly wide, and but there's no room in. Can Lee Jackson hold on to second place? He's getting his elbows out here, Lee Jackson. It's looking very much like he's lost his seat at FS3. So it's time now to showcase his talents, and he's up to P2. Glenn Irwin now is with this group.
Just going to say, Glenn Irwin is now with O'Halloran, therefore not so far off the group. And watch this, if he can stay anywhere near around these corners, he's got the pace. Up, down he goes, same move as last lap. There you go.
Beautifully done.
Yeah.
Over the top then. Good riding this from Glenn Irwin.
So I think this is good for Glenn Irwin. Here comes Lebo.
Oh, and he's just squeezed through.
He's pushing wide as well.
He's lost momentum. Kyle Ryder then goes up into second, and Lee Jackson leads at home. Now Bridewell is up behind Jason O'Halloran.
That's definitely Yamaha territory.
Oh, here comes Kyle Ryder. He's got that inside line. Lovely from Ryder. Will he hold it?
Didn't wide. No, I'll do.
It sticks, and Kyle Ryder then now leads on the OMG Yamaha.
He could win anywhere and you wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, Glenn Irwin's made the move.
Oh, has he stopped it?
He's just done that. That was incredibly difficult.
Perfect, wasn't it? Oh, the back's quick, look at that.
Yeah, this might work out well for him. Now look at that bit. Look at that. From third up to second, he even thought about trying to nibble through on Kyle Ryder as well. We're about to start the final lap. Look at the Ducati power. He pulls up alongside Kyle Ryder on the last lap and flies through on the approach to Coppins. Now, this is good territory for Yamaha.
And watch this. There's no way that Kyle can do anything, even with a slipstream.
He's not close enough. Glenn Irwin there, and he's bided his time. He's played this well in the background. Leon Haslam's trying to fight it out for third place on Jason O'Halloran. Is he going to get the bike stopped? He went slightly wide. Through goes O'Halloran, who's taking no prisoners in this race.
He's taking no prisoners.
And again, he's going to take a big bite and a chunk out of his teammate, Tommy Bridewell, in the championship. We're on the final lap. We're coming through Hall Bends, and this is one of the rides of the year from Glenn Irwin.
Yes, I'd agree.
Just one more corner to navigate now, and the checkered flag's out. It's going to be double delight for Glenn Irwin. What's that coming over the hill? It's a beer monster Ducati of Irwin. That's the double, and that has changed the championship again. Ride goes second, it's O'Halloran third, Haslam fourth, Bridewell fifth. It's the last race of the regular season. It's the greatest show. It's Bennett's BSB. The Battle of Britain resumes. What a championship it has been so far. What a weekend it's been here at Cadwell as well. So the front row now looks like this. Haslam, Ryder, Jackson. Leon Haslam on pole for the last race of the regular season before the points get big. Kyle Ryder, 2 second places so far. Lee Bob Jackson looking for glory on home turf. It's eyes on the lights. And we are racing at Cadwell. Good start from Storm Stacey there on the second row of the grid. He's flying through on the Starline Kawasaki. Will he get the whole shot? Yes, he will. Stacey, P1 into turn 1.
They've not had the weekend they thought they were going to have. They genuinely thought they might have a fourth or a fifth on their hands, and I think they might have.
Yeah, well, they're all sprinting here. They're three adrift.
Here comes Haslam.
Three abreast, and it is Haslam with the inside line. He goes through, but they're all a couple of inches wide there from Ryder. Storm Stacey's having to go into Chris Curve and sees the gap and goes through into second again.
Turned out to be Storm Stacey and Kyle Ryder and left them room. Cut them out. Here comes Kyle. He'd be keen to get past Storm.
He holds on to second through the chicane. It's Lee Jackson there in fourth. Another good start for Glenn Irwin. He's sixth place ahead of his teammate Tommy Bridewell. Through the bottom of the mountain and over the top we go for the first time. Jason O'Halloran there in fifth ahead of Irwin and Bridewell. Iden is eighth, Brooks is ninth, Tom Neve in 10th. And onto the home straight, it's Haslam that leads, looking for his first win of the season. Very good start from Glenn Irwin. He had to work from a lot further back than that earlier on. Is he already looking to make a move on Lee Jackson? Yes, he is. Can he get the Beer Monster Ducati stock? Yes, he can.
He's made exactly the start he needed. Bridewell
then. been watching a bit of Glenn Irwin.
He has, hasn't it? Tommy Bridewell is racing for his championship here.
Yeah,
And he's got to roll his sleeves up.
Things have got a bit tricky over the last few weeks for Tommy Bridewell, and the pressure is being ramped up, especially when it's coming from next door.
There's a massive amount of friendly competition between us. It does get heated for definite, but I think that's just, you know, Glenn would probably openly say as well that it's part of what drives me to be the best I can be, and probably him.
Now watch this beer monster Ducati ramp up towards Storm Stacey. I mean, that was like a hot knife through butter.
The fact is that an on-form Tommy Bridewell at a circuit he likes, on a bike he likes, is hard to beat. But he needs to have more of those days for the championship. You've got to make your moves here at Cadwell. It's not difficult it's very difficult to pass, and therefore they've changed it
as well. Oh, there is the change. There's the move, and he had to make it, Kyle Wright. He leads then out of barn corner as we're about to start lap 6 of 18, and Leon Haslam's got trouble now as well.
Kyle needs to stay in front for a lap or two to get away, and I don't think he's going to be able to do that.
So Irwin does
that's
fly past Haslam and moves up into second place. This is where it's going to be crucial for Kyle. He's got to try and stay ahead of Glenn on the start-finish straight.
That's it. Start and finish straight, top straight. That's his 2 points. He needs to pull out enough around the bits that the Yamaha is good and better than the Ducati to stay in front on the straight, and that is not so easy. A bit of a mistake from Haslam then, and that's allowed Tommy through.
Storm Stacey wants a piece of that as well.
Yeah, he does, doesn't it?
Oh, Charlie Nesbitt.
Not again.
And that's at the top of the mountain as well. That's going to hurt for Nesbitt. Down through Mansfield. It is Glenn Irwin now that leads from Kyle Ride, with Bridewell in third. We're about to start lap 9 of 18. Irwin where he wants to be, where he's been all weekend, in top spot. Cross the line there. Now Tommy Bridewell's got to go through, James.
Yeah, he has.
And here he comes, up the inside into turn 1. This is on out front. 2/10 quicker on that last lap was Tommy Bridewell and Glenn Irwin. No way past here, but can he get into the slipstream of his own teammate? Both identical in terms of speed, and he just can't get on terms. He is close. He is going to have a look here. Up the inside for Tommy Bridewell. Then he does pounce, but does he run wide? No! It sticks, and Bridewell leads, and this is your championship right in front of your eyes now. Bridewell and Irwin.
Brilliant. And he's scrapping for it.
Whatever changes they've made to Tommy's bike, it's worked.
They've gone each way with it. They've got really radical setup changes in terms of ride height, forks, everything.
This is where Glenn Irwin is strong, punching out of the final corner.
Yeah.
But he's nowhere near close enough to attempt to get by Tommy Bridewell. What a lap that will have been from Bridewell, a 26.5 from him. Half a second quicker than Glenn Irwin.
Anything can happen. Anything, and I mean that's the last race at Brands, not even the last round. So, yeah, it's good. I feel great. I don't see a dip in form coming because points changes. I just continue my little journey that I'm on, and I know everyone thinks I've turned weird and wacky, but it's I feel like it's all happening.
And Glenn Irwin now has got to be perfect through this final sector to line something up.
I'll tell you what, this is going to be a better trip in the motorhome for Stacey, his missus, back to Devices in Wiltshire if he can pull this one off.
It really will, because he would have been in such a misery the way things were looking. We start the final lap of the race, and Tommy Bridewell has got 3/10 on his teammate Glenn Irwin. Glenn Irwin is surely now
running out
the hairpin.
Yeah, that's the only place. That is the only place,
Kyle Ride coming on strong at the end of this race.
I bet you Tommy will go really defensive into there, but he's got to do.
Glenn Irwin, this is all he's got now. He's got to line it up. He's got to make sure, but he's not close enough, it looks like, here to Tommy Bridewell.
Kyle Ride might have a go at Haslam, though.
He's going to have a go. No, he's defensive as well. Glenn Irwin cannot get close enough to Tommy Bridewell. What a comeback. What an answer this is from Tommy Bridewell. And what a championship we have here in Bennett's BSB. Tommy Bridewell wins here at Cadwell ahead of his teammate Glenn Irwin.
You know, Cadwell's a real rider's track. You know, I've had a lot of success here, and you know, to get a podium, we gave it all we could, and I feel we maximised that.
The last couple of laps of that race were all in, and the fans got treated to a typical BSB race. We were all flat out.
Looking forward to getting to OULTON, getting to Donington, getting to Brands. You know, won it all these circuits before, won it 2 of them already this year, and just honestly just one goal to become British champion this year, and that's the only target I have.
stay with Ducati next year now.
All I saw was
I
the
thought
dash
he's
hit
going
red.
straight on, and I like tried to set the
Yeah,
weak
yeah,
cards out. I was like, here we go, but fair play, you got it done.
I went one go, but I didn't even get to your back wheel.
I reckon the front was gone for you about here.
My engine brake kept freeing up here. It was like, what?
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
You've been giving them flags away again, haven't you?
Yeah,
Just
I
saw
was
Glen
gonna-
Irwin when I'm
I was
sure.
going to say them. You're handing them out too, aren't you?
Yay!
Gear starts to get bad in the air, doesn't it?
Hope you enjoyed that episode of Thrill in the Race. Next up, OULTON Park, where it's going to hot up even more.
Times here with Glen Irwin and his Beer Monster Ducati. He's back to winning ways. What's that coming over the hill? It's a Beer Monster Ducati of Irwin, and that has changed the championship again.